Welcome to the week, y'all. We are here for our weekly anchor message where I think of it as getting our spiritual assignments for the week from headquarters, if you will. So we had a whole bunch of cards come out in like a clump today when I was shuffling and doing our post for Instagram. So if you want to get like a head start with this message, I post midday on Instagram on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and those are our anchor message, our alchemy messages, and our reflection messages. And they usually go up around noon or 1 or so Central Time. So I'm shuffling today for the written blog post, which many times gives you another kind of angle to the message. So, they're kind of presented differently from here and there. So they're both valuable. So go follow me there after this video on Instagram at Liz_Taylor_magic. So the clump of cards came out and I was just like, laughing with my mouth just open at how much continuity the story read as the cards came out in this perfect order. And so I just kept them and went with it. But the first card that came out was Starborn, followed by the Gem. That's a really funny pun for people going back to the gym in January. We've got Kairos here. Followed by the Bridge. And the Heart. And the Self. Oh my goodness. And then for more clarity, the universe gave us instructions for our mind, our heart, and our physical atmosphere, because it's like the archetypal cards were like the spiritual. It's like addressed all 4 kingdoms. It's like the fire, wands, the spiritual, the soul kingdom, the mental assignment with the Ace of Swords here. We have the heart kingdom, the emotional kingdom with the feminine King of Cups. And we have for the physical kingdom, the representative is the Queen of Pentacles. So I love that. It's a very clear assignment this week. The Starborn card is a card that points out that we are born with a destiny. And how I look at it is, and the way I like to explain it, is that when you look at your natal chart, the stars and planets all have a unique placement at the moment of your birth. And this card talks about that, how it charts out certain aspects of your personality. The natal chart, your astrological natal chart, describes the script or the plot of your life based on the fate that you're dealt. It's like if life were a movie or a series, it's like the what you're born into, your fate is like draft 1. As you overcome your astrological placements, right, the influence of the universe to either make you weak in certain areas or strong in certain areas and everything that lies in between, you rise above through your personal development, through your spiritual awakening, through your spiritual devotion. The healing, the redemption of Christ within us helps us overcome our original lower nature, and it awakens in us our higher self, our spirit, our super consciousness. And so then we begin to merge with that, and as we become less like the old animalistic, instinct-driven, ego-based self, we ascend and start to merge with that self that shares more affinity with God, right? The example being given was Christ, the physical representation of God in human form, of what it would be like to be fully human and fully divine in a lifetime. So It is this state of becoming that we model after, as does every human soul in their incarnations. And so when we become awakened to this and we become active participants in our becoming, in our spiritual journey, we start to shift from our fate. And it's like each night it's another draft written, draft 1, draft 2, draft 3, throw out the green pages, we're on to pink now. It's like the script gets rewritten. And so the more that we make that inner transformation within ourselves, we click like one dimension away from that old faded path to transcending our, natal chart personality and rising above that. And then as we make those changes in ourselves, click closer to that higher destiny. And so each of us have this divine potential that God has this plan for us. And in our most awakened whole expression of our being, without being encumbered by fears and limitation and societal conditioning and all the childhood stuff and the subconscious patterning and fears and all of it. Without all of that, we would just be this unencumbered self that is just full of faith and confidence and certainty and can really discern more clearly with more certainty which way is on path, which way is in integrity, and which way is off my path. It's not always about black and white, right and wrong. Sometimes it's like, this just isn't your assignment, but this is your assignment. And so the opponent can get us distracted, right, from our destiny and put us on a path that might seem perfectly good and honorable, but it just may not be our assignment, right? So as we become more attuned in our vibration through our transformation, through our awakening, through our salvation, we get closer and closer to that version of that divinely ordained, destined life of absolute fulfillment. And that life doesn't come without challenge, but it's the most deeply fulfilling for us. We find a state inside of us. We establish that first of a deep rest in the Creator, a deep trust in the divine order, in the divine plan, that God is within all things. And the moment we are fully certain in that, we activate that presence and we allow that ability for the Creator to come in and move through our circumstances and through our lives and through our consciousness. But we have free will, so we have to allow that in. So we get the hand that we're dealt, and that's our fate, but we choose our destiny. Okay, so we are in this moment now where we're shifting from the old timeline, and now we're in the new year, Gregorian New Year. It's like mentally, collectively, we've all made that shift. The astrology, the planets are going to start moving into new houses. The nodes of the moon are going to start shifting and changing in the next month or so. And so this is astrologically a moment of shifting into that new timeline as well. So we're here, dress rehearsal's over, it's showtime, right? And so we are now, through winter, gently merging with that higher self, with that higher destiny, and taking slow and steady steps to be more like that higher self. Taking the action steps toward what we're guided to do. Changing up our routines where it's needed to become a better vessel for sharing, a better vessel for channeling the light, a better vessel for taking care of ourselves. So we're starting to move into this way of being. So something is unlocking our destiny, and this month it's sort of like we're feeling a little bit of pressure, but that pressure is like a catalyst, right? See the way this egg is cracked. And I saw so clearly how in order to unlock our destiny, we have to hatch, right? From what was a state of potential, we have to break that shell and actually let the new life come in and look at all this potential and creation material there. I love that. So next we've got the gem here. And this is what we discover when we search the meaning of our life and we start living with purpose, and we reflect back on everything that we've come through and everything that we've experienced and achieved and failed at, perceptively failed at, all of those experiences have served us, and they have made us a multifaceted, unique expression. And so we have talents within us that we've been strengthening, and we've had pain that we've been transmuting into compassion and understanding and wisdom and empathy. And we've had experience that's given us know-how and wherewithal. And so we're seeing, oh my gosh, all the value in it and the real treasure of it. And we're using that gem, the gem of the collected experience that we've had that has shifted our consciousness, and we're putting that into motion. And so there are so many jewels to be found in the depths of what winter offers us, which is this dark time where we get to kind of feel like we need to want to crave like this little sanctuary of space to go inward, and to reflect and to let things gestate and take care of the seeds within the dark soil. So it's like during this hibernation time that we're dreaming and we're resting and we're renewing, and we're getting excited about all of the activity that's going to start come spring. But this is the time when we are when reflection is the most productive thing to do, and planning and exploring and studying and looking into things and doing those quiet activities, those introspective activities. We have divine timing at play with Kairos. So God has his eye on the situation, and multiple layers and variables and pieces are being prepared and brought together. So in the meantime, the task is to relax and surrender into that divine timing, and don't spend time looking over your shoulder waiting for the results, because that leaks energy from your aura, and it takes you out of the alignment with trust and surrender, and it puts you into a state of controlling and grasping and feeling, powerless and wanting to control the situation. It's fear, it's scarcity, it's reactivity, it's effect consciousness versus cause consciousness. So if we patiently and actively wait, for actively standing by for the right moment for all the pieces to come together, then we're making the most of this moment. We're embracing winter's offerings of quiet, of not a lot of plans, of I crave boredom. Wouldn't that be wonderful to be bored, to have that much space and time to let the dust settle and actually fill a void long enough to be bored with it. Oh, delicious. So while we're in this moment of in between, of limbo, we're crossing a bridge, and we're bridging, like the bridge we're crossing is not only from bringing our intrinsic transformation into the external, into the extrinsic. We're bridging the spiritual with the material. We're embodying that light that we've been receiving, and we're becoming better people, better souls, better vessels for sharing the light of the Creator, the light of the Christ in the world. When you see the cross, there is that vertical plane of where we receive the divine inspiration, but then there's also that horizontal plane of outreach and sharing, and how that extends amongst and between us in humanity. So this bridge also, there's this bridge in our heart where that helps us connect our consciousness with our super consciousness, with that direct connection to that guidance from the Holy Spirit. But in order to get there, we have to find that quiet and that stillness in order for it to happen. And it's not just having that time carved out. It's also about the stillness within and that quiet of our mind. So even in the midst of rushing around and in the midst of chaos, if you know how to connect with that silence and stillness within, you can quiet your mind in the middle of the craziness. And that's what you want. That's what you want to achieve, because what use is the spiritual tools if we can only use them when there's perfect circumstances? In these times of craziness, look at New Year's Eve, the car running into the crowd. In the midst of that mayhem, you have to be able to be in an instant tune into that quiet voice telling you, get off the street, go over here, go to the bathroom. Like, it can get to you, call you anywhere. I saw a video of a girl who really was this close to getting hit, and had she not been in the position that she was, starting on the trajectory of the path that she started to take, where she could all of a sudden take off and run out of the way. It's amazing when you think about how, if you were more aware, what if you had second guessed yourself? Sometimes you have to just trust that inner instinct that leads you in a direction. It's not always logical. It's not always reasonable. And so being able to find that bridge at any time and carry it with you always. So we're bridging, and we're taking this bridge, and we're bridging from the old reality into this new dimension, this new reality, this new space. And so it's not just an immediate, like, oh, okay, we're here now. There's like a crossing over, there's a journey, there is a stretch that's an interim, right? The bridge isn't the next piece of land, and it's not the last piece of land. There is a journey across a specific passageway to go from point A to point B. So we're in that passageway now. We're on the bridge. And so where we want to go, where we want to center our consciousness and our focus and our energy this week during that passage is going to be to tune into the heart space. That's where you go into that sacred chamber. The Bible talks about the bridal chamber, where the bridegroom and the bride come together. And that's what we've been talking about. It's about that union with God, where you find that place of rest, of peace, of surrender, where your inner intrinsic guidance is then expressed in an outer expression. Or your internal change is then expressed in the way that you share and show up in the world. So your intrinsic, your feminine, the divine feminine, becomes your divine masculine, your external expression of the internal nature, which is going to a higher place. And where does the Christ consciousness reside and emanate from? The heart center, the heart chakra. So again, the heart is that portal. The heart is a bridge between the material world and that heaven, the upper realms, the heavenly realms, and that guidance and that support from there. So take time to go into the heart and find what is under the depths of the surface layer. What is the condition of the waters of your heart right now? Are you anxious? Are you sad? Are you feeling isolated, right? An interesting part about that chamber of the heart is that in a way it's like this tight little comforting sanctuary, but it also opens up into this vast spaciousness of like the cosmos within, an endless space. And so that is where we finally make that connection, that union with the higher self, and have that bliss, have that fulfillment, have that peace and that certainty when we find that feeling of being face to face with the Creator. And so when they say face to face with God, what that really means is that you can face the circumstances of your life and you can feel the presence of God with you going through them. You can feel the presence of God being awakened or activated and moving through the circumstances. You can see the purpose that things are playing and serving in the moment. Or even if you can't see it, you know that there is a divine purpose and you can consciously choose to choose it. Whereas if you're facing God's back, that means symbolically that you, in hindsight, can see how something served you. Upon reflection, looking back, oh, I can see the miracle that was there. I can see miracles that were revealed. I can see deeper revelation that came out, or how things were repaired on the other side of it even better than before. But we didn't see it in the moment. In the moment we were afraid, we were shaken, we were doubtful, we were feeling despondent and abandoned, right? But we can see it later as God is leaving the house. When we have our back to the Creator, that is a symbol that says you can't see the presence of God. You can't feel the presence of God. You can't see the purpose in things. You feel everything is random. You feel like you're a victim of circumstance. You feel chaos and void and complete separation from God, the Creator. And that's the coldest, darkest place to be. And so we can be the ones to turn around, because the Creator is always eternal and always flowing and always sharing. It's like we have control over our vessel. Are we open? Can we receive? Or have we shut down and contracted and closed off? So it's like in Job, when it says there can be a lifting up by the cleanness of your hands, that passage describes vibrational, language of when we're low, in a low state, the Spirit of God, it can't connect with us because it has no vibrational affinity, right? It has to be connected with some kind of sense of wholeness or of stillness or fulfillment or faith or something, but it can't go to a place of absolute despondency. So in our inner peace, in overcoming, the opponent's going to try to throw anxiety and fear and lack and doubt and scarcity. And what better time than in January, when the whole world kind of slows down and the industries aren't thriving. It's funny because in Proverbs, the proverb that is talks about a woman of valor, it mentions she does not worry for her family when it snows or in times of winter or something like that. And that was so poignant to me because I'm like in an industry of hospitality. And so depending on, seasonally in certain times of year, especially when it's snowy and gross out in January, like we're very slow. And so mentally and everything, you prepare for yourself for this time of year, but the anxiety always comes and puts itself in your face. And it's the perfect opportunity to grow that faith, to grow that strength, to tap into that higher self and say, I'm looking anxiety in the face and I'm saying, I'm not choosing you. I'm not going to feed this dragon. I'm not going to let you overtake me with fibromyalgia and, go into a state of autoimmune, or have you guys ever, it's not literally fibromyalgia, but have you ever had that stress that's so bad that it just burns through your nervous system and you feel like you're on fire? There's that physical manifestation of it. And so everything's going to be fine. It's just that this pressure right now is that pressure that the universe provides to catalyze us into awakening. It happens in nature. It happens on a spiritual level. It happens on a heart level. It happens on every level of being and creation. So underneath it all, we've got Ace of Swords. And so this is new clarity, it's new ideas, it's new thoughts, it's a new perspective, it's new consciousness, it's new mental radiance, right? Maybe new beginnings of projects. But the Ace of Swords comes with a little bit of turbulence. It's a double-edged sword, right? So it describes that pressure in the beginning of something. So if something has a delayed start, or it doesn't launch the way you want, or things have slowed down, or there's a little bit of discomfort or turbulence or uncertainty, don't worry, but embrace being able to see where that underlying anxiety and fear still was, because that is the gap of space where the opponent gets in and can mess with you. And so if you can look at it and then choose to start building your confidence and building your faith and building your certainty, you start cultivating that peace and that inner strength. And before you know it, your trust is so strong, and you look back and you think, oh my gosh, I can remember the difference of the feeling. So challenge right now is just to stay mentally sober and don't get into a downward spiral. Don't get caught into the drama or the soap opera. Don't get caught up in the story and the narratives. Choose your thoughts. Really cultivate your mental landscape. We've got the feminine King of Cups here, which is the embodiment of both the mastered masculine elements of the cup suit and the mastered feminine elements of the cup suit. So the basic idea behind this card right now is to be a pillar of strength in uncertain times. These waters are choppy, but she is sturdy. She is grounded. She's not reactive to her emotions. She's not being affected by them so much that they're changing her decisions or her behavior or her choices, right? she's sturdy. And so because of this, she can provide safe passage for a vessel through the storm, through the choppy seas. And what that means for us is that we, in the midst of life's changing circumstances or opportunities or uncertain times or challenges, we can stay emotionally sober and emotionally grounded. And whilst we're not avoiding our feelings, we can embrace them and feel our feelings. We're also not totally controlled by them either. We're not acting on them. We can still separate those feelings and tune into our reason and our discernment and our wisdom, as well as what our heart is telling us, right? There's a difference between tuning in through the heart to that inner guidance that's coming from your higher self, from that Holy Spirit, and then just listening to the topical emotions that are surrounding your heart and your emotional field and realm, and getting distracted by that initial noise. Because that, just like the ocean on the surface, the condition of the waters can change, but when you go underneath the surface, it's like there are currents, but it is still, it's a completely different, it's not changing like the surface waters are. And so our physical assignment is to like be the Queen of Pentacles. Self-care, tending to the self, tending to your household and to your environment, right? The Queen of Pentacles is someone who's like really grounded, really earthy, really nurturing. So what that would look like, you know, to me, my ideal version of this is to, you know, tidy the house and clean and declutter where you can. Get caught up on paying all your bills and all of the things that, you know, kind of like slipped under the radar through the holidays. Like, get your ducks back in a row. You know, if you need to like book yearly checkups and things like that, it's like, this is a good time to self-care, to care for the body, to care for yourself by setting aside time to replenish your tank, to take care of the household, to make good food, right? Cook a great nourishing meal for you, or batch cook for yourself. Get in those healthy routines that help you feel stable and healthy and consistent, right? Because that is the kind of conditions that you need to grow from. Think about when the weather is all over the place. Those aren't really good growing seasons, but it's when you have a nice consistent spring and summer that the plants can really flourish and have a consistent schedule. So give yourself that. Tighten up and clean up your environment and your routines, and be good to yourself and be nourishing to yourself. Because what you're doing is you're preparing your life for the next elements, the new variables to enter in and to integrate. All right, that is all for today, y'all. I will see you tomorrow for our weekly manifestation oracle message. And don't forget, the 2025 prediction series is up and available in my Stan store. You can follow the link below. It's absolutely amazing. It's already on par for the way that January feels, and it's not even like we're in the first week. So in the prediction series, you will have a yearly overview that has channeled messages from me and a Celtic spread with journal questions. Then there is a quarterly overview that looks at seasonal readings with journal questions. Then we have a month-by-month reading for January through December, and those also have your monthly journal questions that will help you workshop through your life and the themes that are being presented. All right, and it's already January's on point for the January reading. So I'm already feeling so much more at ease and at peace through the first week of uncertainty in January, just because I made the series, so I know what to expect. So, and when you can see, like, from a bird's eye view, the rhythm of the year, everything makes so much more sense, and you can prepare yourself emotionally, physically, mentally, all of it. So I will check y'all later. Bye.